You've been stuck at 150 pounds for 6 months. You're eating chicken and rice. You're chugging protein shakes. You're tracking every meal in MyFitnessPal like your life depends on it. So why the hell aren't you gaining weight? Look, I know exactly what you're doing because I did the same thing. You hit your protein target every single day. 140 grams, 150 grams, whatever the calculator told you. You see that green check mark in your app and think you're crushing it. Meanwhile, the scale hasn't moved since March, and you're starting to wonder if you just have garbage genetics or a metabolism that burns through everything like a furnace. Here's the truth. You're not eating too little protein. You're probably eating enough. The problem is how you're eating it. And this one mistake is costing you 2 to 3 pounds of muscle every single month. I'm not talking about some advanced bodybuilding secret. I'm talking about a fundamental misunderstanding about protein that kept me stuck at 155 pounds for 8 months straight, eating 180 grams of protein daily and getting absolutely nowhere. By the end of this video, you're going to understand why your body has been treating 40% of your protein like expensive urine. And no, I'm not exaggerating. There's actual science behind this. Once I fixed this one thing, I went from 155 to 185 pounds in 14 months. Same gym, same genetics, different protein strategy. But before I tell you what you're doing wrong, you need to understand how protein actually works in your body. And I'm going to make this so simple that even your gym bro friend who thinks creatine is a steroid will understand it. Your muscles have a protein limit per meal, not for the day, per meal. And once you hit that limit, your body can't use any extra protein for building muscle, no matter how much more you eat. This is called the muscle protein synthesis threshold, and for most people, it's around 0.25 grams per pound of body weight per meal. If you're 150 pounds, that's roughly 35 to 40 grams of protein. Eat 40 grams. You trigger maximum muscle growth. Eat 80 grams in one sitting. You still trigger the same amount of growth. The other 40 grams, your body burns it for energy or converts it to glucose. Think of muscle protein synthesis like a construction crew building your house. You've got 5 workers. If you deliver 10 pallets of bricks, they can only lay so many per hour. The other 5 pallets just sit there. Eventually, someone hauls them away to use for something else, like filling potholes on the road. That's your body burning excess protein for energy instead of building muscle. More bricks doesn't mean faster construction when you only have 5 workers. Here's what nobody tells you. Your body absorbs all the protein you eat. That part works fine. The issue is how much it can actually use for muscle building at one time. Most people hear that your body can only absorb 30 grams per meal and think that's the problem. Wrong. Absorption and utilization are 2 completely different things. You'll pee out the nitrogen waste either way, but only some of it actually built muscle first. So, what does this mean for you? If you're eating 3 meals a day with 50 to 60 grams of protein per meal, you're wasting 15 to 25 grams every single time. That's 45 to 75 grams of wasted protein daily. Over a week, that's 300 to 500 grams of protein you paid for that did absolutely nothing for your muscle growth. No wonder you're not gaining weight. The fix is stupidly simple. Spread your protein across 4 to 5 meals instead of 3. A 150-pound person needs 120 to 150 grams total daily. That's 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. Divide that by 4 meals and you get 30 to 37 grams per meal. Divide by 5 meals and you get 24 to 30 grams per meal. Both options keep you right at that muscle protein synthesis threshold without wasting anything. Research backs this up. A 2018 study found that eating 40 grams of protein versus 70 grams post-workout produced nearly identical muscle growth over 12 weeks. The extra 30 grams did nothing except make expensive pee. But here's the part that's going to piss you off. I know what you're thinking right now, but I've seen huge guys eat massive steaks with 100 grams of protein in one sitting, and they're jacked. Yeah, and those huge guys are 220 pounds with years of training. Their muscle protein synthesis threshold is higher because they have way more muscle mass to maintain and grow. You're 150 pounds. Different body, different rules. Stop comparing your biology to someone who's 70 pounds heavier than you. So you know the ceiling exists now. You can't just slam 100 grams of protein and expect double the gains. But here's where it gets interesting, and where most people completely screw this up. It's not just about hitting the threshold. It's about when you hit it, and how often you're actually triggering muscle growth throughout your entire day. Muscle protein synthesis stays elevated for about 3 to 5 hours after you eat a protein-rich meal. That's your window. Your body is in building mode, repairing and growing muscle tissue. Then it fades. If you don't eat protein again, that building signal dies completely, and your body shifts into maintenance mode, or worse, breakdown mode. Most skinny guys eat 2 to 3 times daily, which means 15 to 18 hours of zero muscle building signals. You're spending more time going backwards than forwards. This is exactly what kept me stuck at 155 pounds for 8 months. I was hitting my total daily protein goal of 140 grams, but I was eating it in just 3 meals. Breakfast at 8 in the morning, lunch at 1 in the afternoon, dinner at 7 at night. Sounds normal, right? That's the problem. Normal doesn't build muscle efficiently. Let me break down what was actually happening in my body. I'd skip breakfast, eat a massive lunch with 60 grams of protein, thinking I was being smart and efficient. Then, another huge dinner with another 50 grams. I'd hit 140 grams total. Check my tracker. Feel accomplished. Meanwhile, my body was in muscle breakdown mode from 10 at night until 1 in the afternoon the next day. That's 15 hours of going backwards. Then I'd trigger growth for 4 hours after lunch, let it fade, trigger it again at dinner for another 4 hours, then go to sleep and let it fade for another 12 hours overnight. I was only in actual building mode maybe 8 hours out of 24. The other 16 hours, my body was either neutral or actively breaking down muscle to free up amino acids. No wonder nothing was growing. Compare that to proper distribution. Same 150-pound person. Same total protein, but 4 meals instead of 3. 8 in the morning, 35 grams. Noon, 35 grams. 4 in the afternoon, 30 grams. 8 at night, 35 grams. Now you're triggering muscle protein synthesis 4 times, and the gaps between meals are only 3 to 4 hours instead of 6 to 8 hours. You're in building mode from 8 in the morning until midnight. That's 16 hours of growth signals versus my pathetic 8 hours. A study in the Journal of Nutrition found that distributing protein evenly across 4 meals led to 25% greater muscle protein synthesis over 24 hours compared to eating the same total amount in an uneven pattern. 25%. That's the difference between gaining 6 pounds of muscle in a year versus 8 pounds, just from rearranging when you eat the same food. Now you're probably thinking, this sounds like a lot of work. I don't have time to eat 5 times a day. Neither do I. I have a job. I have a life. But here's the thing. Meal 3 and Meal 4 don't need to be sit-down meals with plates and silverware. A protein shake takes 60 seconds to drink. Greek yogurt takes 2 minutes to eat. You're not cooking 5 different elaborate meals. You're strategically spacing protein intake using a mix of real meals and quick protein hits. Set phone reminders every 3.5 hours. When the alarm goes off, consume 30 to 40 grams of protein somehow. That's it. But there's one more piece to this puzzle that's probably costing you 2 to 3 pounds of muscle per year. And it's the thing nobody talks about because it sounds too simple to actually matter. Sleep is an 8-hour fasting window where your body can slip into catabolic breakdown, undoing everything you built during the day. Most skinny guys eat dinner at 6 or 7 at night, then don't eat again until breakfast the next morning. That's a 12 to 14 hour gap with zero amino acids available for muscle repair. Your body needs fuel to build muscle while you sleep, but you're giving it nothing. This is where the real gains leak happens, and it's the exact spot where I finally broke through my plateau. Here's what changed everything for me. I started eating cottage cheese right before bed. I know it sounds boring and weirdly specific, but cottage cheese is packed with casein protein, which digests over 6 to 7 hours instead of 2 to 3 hours like whey. 1 cup of cottage cheese has about 28 grams of protein. I'd eat it at 10:30 at night, go to sleep at 11, and my body had a slow drip of amino acids until 5 or 6 in the morning. That's only a 2 to 3 hour gap until breakfast instead of a 12-hour famine. Within 3 weeks, I finally broke past 160 pounds after being stuck for months. A 2012 study published in Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise found that consuming 40 grams of casein protein before bed increased overnight muscle protein synthesis by 22% compared to a placebo. 22%. That's not some tiny optimization for advanced bodybuilders. That's the difference between gaining 8 pounds of muscle in a year versus 10 pounds. 2 extra pounds just from eating cottage cheese before bed. Now, if you hate cottage cheese, you've got options. Greek yogurt works because it contains both whey and casein. A casein protein shake if you want something drinkable. Even a whole food meal like 4 to 6 ounces of chicken or turkey with some vegetables. The key is slow digesting protein that keeps amino acids in your bloodstream during those first 6 hours of sleep. What you don't want is fast digesting protein like whey isolate. That defeats the entire purpose because it'll be gone in 2 hours. Is this pre-bed protein thing going to transform you overnight? No. Let's be real here. This is one piece of the puzzle. But here's the truth about building muscle as a skinny guy stuck at 150 pounds. You don't need one massive breakthrough. You need 4 to 5 small optimizations that compound over months. This is one of those optimizations. Add it to proper meal frequency. Add it to hitting the muscle protein synthesis threshold per meal, and suddenly you've got a system that actually works instead of a random collection of eat more protein bro advice that leads nowhere. You might have heard that eating before bed makes you fat. That's complete nonsense. Eating in a calorie surplus makes you gain weight, whether it's muscle or fat. If you're eating at maintenance calories or a slight surplus distributed properly throughout the day and you end with protein before bed, you're just optimizing muscle growth during sleep. Your body doesn't have a magical after 8 at night, everything turns to fat switch. That's not how metabolism works. And before you ask, won't this mess up my sleep? No. Protein doesn't spike your blood sugar like carbs do. A cup of cottage cheese won't keep you wired at midnight. I've been doing this for 3 years. I sleep fine. If anything, going to bed slightly full helps me sleep better than going to bed hungry after a 6 o'clock dinner with my stomach growling at 10. So now you've got the 3-part system. Hit the muscle protein synthesis threshold per meal, space meals every 3 to 4 hours, and add pre-sleep protein to cover that overnight window. But none of this matters if you're not eating enough total calories. And none of it works as well if you're not handling the other factors that determine whether your body actually builds muscle or just maintains what you have. Here's the reality check. Proper protein distribution accelerates muscle growth, but you still need to be in a calorie surplus. If you're 150 pounds and stuck, you need to be eating 2,500 to 2,700 calories per day minimum. Go to a TDEE calculator, find your maintenance, add 300 calories. That's your starting point. Hit that number consistently while applying the protein distribution strategy I just taught you. Otherwise, you're just rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. The ship is still sinking. And yeah, protein quality matters a little bit. Prioritize complete proteins. Chicken, beef, fish, eggs, dairy, whey. These have all the essential amino acids your body needs. Plant proteins can work, but you need to eat more of them and combine sources. If you're vegan, you can absolutely make this work. It just requires more planning. Not impossible, just harder. Now, this protein strategy works best when you're actually training consistently. 3 to 4 days per week of lifting is the sweet spot. You don't need to live in the gym. If you're hitting your muscles with proper volume and progressive overload, this protein distribution will fuel the recovery and growth. Without training, you'll just get slightly less skinny. Training plus this protein strategy, you'll actually build muscle that changes how you look. And obviously, sleep matters. 7 to 9 hours. If you're sleeping 5 hours a night, no protein strategy on earth will save you. Your body builds muscle during recovery. Sleep is when most of that happens. Don't sabotage this whole system by staying up until 2 in the morning, scrolling Instagram. That pre-sleep protein I mentioned earlier, it works even better when you actually sleep for 8 hours after eating it. Shocking, I know. How long until you see results? If you've been stuck at 150 for months, and you implement this protein distribution strategy while staying in a calorie surplus, you should break past 155 within 4 to 6 weeks. Not huge overnight changes, but consistent weekly progress. By month 3, you're looking at 160 to 165 if you stay consistent. By month 6, 170 is completely realistic. This isn't magic. It's just fixing the leak in your system that was preventing growth in the first place. Do you need supplements? No. Can they help? Sure. Whey protein powder makes hitting your meals easier. Mix it with milk and a banana for meal 3. Creatine, 5 grams daily, will help you lift heavier over time. That's it. Don't overthink this part. You don't need pre-workout or BCAAs or some fancy post-workout formula. You need food distributed properly throughout the day. Let's lock this in. 3 changes that will finally get you past 150 pounds. 1. Stop wasting protein by eating 70 grams in one sitting. Hit 30 to 40 grams per meal, no more. 2. Eat every 3 to 4 hours, 4 to 5 times per day. Keep that muscle building signal active all day long. 3. Add 30 to 40 grams of slow digesting protein before bed. Cover that 8-hour sleep window. Do these 3 things while staying in a calorie surplus, and your body finally has what it needs to build muscle efficiently. Look, you're not stuck at 150 pounds because you have bad genetics or a fast metabolism. You're stuck because you've been following incomplete advice. Total daily protein matters, yeah, but how you distribute it throughout the day matters just as much. You can keep eating 3 massive protein bombs per day and wondering why the scale won't budge. Or you can spread that same amount of protein across the day and actually give your body constant fuel to build with. Here's what you do today. Set 4 alarms on your phone, spaced 3.5 hours apart. That's your new eating schedule. Tomorrow, track 1 full day of meals and see how your protein is actually distributed right now. I guarantee you'll find most of it concentrated in 2 meals with huge gaps in between. Then adjust. Get some cottage cheese or Greek yogurt for before bed. Start treating protein distribution like it matters, because it does. Most people will keep doing what's comfortable and wonder why nothing changes. Eating 5 times a day feels weird at first. Eating cottage cheese before bed sounds boring. But weird and boring beats being stuck at 150 forever. You've got the system now. The only question is whether you'll actually use it. Your body is ready to grow. You just have to feed it properly. Fix your protein distribution first. Everything else gets easier after that.